Today we're going to take the laptop apart and we're going to clean off the existing thermal paste and put new thermal paste down on the CPU, the GPU, and new pads on all the associated electronics that's in there. Laptop's been running a little hot. I actually have an Asus ROG Zephyrus G15 laptop. What I've had to do is use Armory Crate manual mode for controlling the fans because they weren't ramping up quick enough to catch the temperature, and then it would overheat and shut down. So right now, just at idle, it's running about 45 to 50 C. CPU usage is pretty low. If I was to start to play a movie or something, you would see the CPU usage there starts to increase, temperature starts to go up. The more things that I play with the onboard graphics, and that's what I'm using on this monitor, you'll see that it starts to get a little bit worse. So fan speed right now is around 4,300 RPM, 4,000 RPM. And that's because I have a specific manual mode set up on it. So what I'm going to do, I've already cleaned the laptop. I know it's not a dust issue, anything like that. So I did upgrade the thermal paste on it, but it was not the best thermal paste, and it had a little bit of a break-in time. It did help, but it wasn't great. So I bought better thermal paste, and I actually bought replacement thermal pads for the integrated or the electronics around the CPU. I'm not sure if that's part of the problem because I didn't do anything with those. So we're going to take it apart. We're going to put the thermal paste on, put the pads on, put it back together, and then take a look at the temperatures. I'm not expecting anything drastic. What I'm expecting is to hopefully have better control, because I would like to run the system in just the normal modes, either performance or turbo or even silent, without it overheating. Anytime I put it in those modes, it overheats. So the next option is turn it into a glorified just internet machine, and I upgrade to a desktop, but I really don't want to spend the money on that. Okay, let's shut it down and we'll start taking it apart. Okay, so here's the thermal paste that I'm using. It's definitely better than the type of thermal paste that I currently have used. Here's the thermal pads, not super thick. So I hope they're the right size. There was different sizes, but this was recommended for laptops. Got my tools. Fantech tool set, really nice. So everything you can think of is in there. And this is a powered screwdriver. It's got lights on it. So right now I got the power off. So this is what we're using. Nothing fancy. So what I like to do, I draw an outline of all the screws, so that, because there's different size screws, and I want them to go make sure that I put them back in the right spot. Now I'm going to find the right screwdriver. It's nothing big, so that feels about right. One more screw here. Then we're going to get to the scary part. So basically there's my all my screws just laid out in the pattern. Now we have to separate the case. So I I got this little flat tool that I use. Once you get it started coming off, it's not terribly bad. And actually, since I've gotten it off a couple times before, it's gotten easier. So what we're going to do now is, this here is one assembly. It's all going to come out. But we're going to disconnect. I think this is the Wi-Fi antennas over here. Got two. Bada bing. And they don't actually come off the board, so they stay attached. And then now we're going to take out these screws, but I'm going to draw a quick little drawing of the screws. Actually, I could use a little bit bigger screwdriver, I think. We're just going to start left to right. I think these are captive. These don't come out. Next, we remove the DisplayPort cable, or EDB cable as it's called on the chip. I've got to pull this out. Pretty simple. And we're just going to leave it off to the side. Okay. So it looks like my thermal pads would be good for that, but it looks like they used a thermal paste on it. So I think I'm going to actually do the same. The thermal paste that I put on here looks okay. The GPU doesn't look that great, but it wasn't overheating, so I'm not too worried about it. But I got to clean all this off. So I'm going to start with cleaning this off, and some of this looks, you know, pretty dried and old. So I'm wondering if that is some of the heating problem. I'm tempted to use the thermal paste that I put on here for these guys and keeping my thermal paste for the CPU, but if once I put it on here and on the GPU, if there's enough, then what I'm going to do is I'll use it on those. So we'll see. All I'm doing is going to use is alcohol, and some of this I think we can just scrape. Disconnect the battery just to be safe. Okay, I got everything cleaned off. Here's the thermal loop, or the heat sink. It's all cleaned off. And now that I got it under the light, I see I need to get a little bit more off of right here. Okay, so all heat sink areas here, and obviously this is the GPU and the CPU. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to first put on thermal paste on the GPU and CPU, and I'm going to try to spread it, but sometimes certain pastes don't spread real easy. Since I'm spreading it this direction, I should have put it all on. And I didn't have a problem with the GPU. It was only the CPU side that was overheating on me. GPU never overheated, so I think that's enough for there. I don't know that we need to spread it. I think a dab in the center would be enough for each of these. I was going to use the pads, but there weren't pads on here. It was thermal paste, so I decided that it probably was better just to put the thermal paste on there. Okay, it looks like I've got them all. Did all those. Oh, I didn't do this row right here, these guys. I think that looks good. Got this one, this one. So what I'm doing is I'm looking at this to see, you know, what is going to be sitting on what, so I don't accidentally, you know, forget something. So I got these two, I got these two up there, I got this row, got this row, and I'm sticking it in my thermal paste. So I think that's good. I'm tempted to put more on the CPU, but what I put on last time got squished out pretty good. I do not like how I've spread it on the GPU though. When you're doing sheetrock and joint compound, keep messing with it, you keep making it a bigger mess. Alright, I think we're gonna go for it. Worst case scenario is it overheats and I have to redo it, right? So not too big of a deal, except I just don't want the laptop to burn up. Okay, time to put screws back in. So let's start with the GPU, and I'm gonna do just a little bit on each side and then keep working my way around. Just snug, nothing more. Okay, well, I'm not sure what happened, but I was going through the video and I saw that it did not show the reassembly part. It's the same as the disassembly part. I just screw down the screws kind of evenly. I don't just screw one down really tight. So I put all the screws in, I start to screw them down, but I keep going around in a circle until around the CPU, the GPU, nice and tight. Fan screws, not a big deal. They just screw in to hold the fan in place. So what I decided to do is actually run a bench test to see how well it's doing. I thought I'd run Cinebench on the CPU and do a stress test and just see what happens when the temperature gets high. So like I said before, the fans never would catch up quick enough and it would then overheat. It'd go from 80 degrees, hit 90, boom, it would shut down. Let's start the Cinebench test. I'm not going to let it run, for a full 9 minutes, but what I want to do is see what the core temperature is. Right now it looks like temperature is around 82 degrees. The CPU is maxed out at 100%. So a little background information, it would get up to like 20% or 16% and shoot up to 90 degrees and then it would shut down. I've never seen the CPU on here run at 100% and not be a problem. So I'm pretty excited. I think the thermal paste was a big deal, but I also think this time putting the new thermal paste on all the VRMs around the CPU and GPU also made a big difference. They may have been part of the problem that was overheating. Maybe it wasn't just the CPU. I don't know. I'm not positive on this temperature, if it's only the CPU or if it includes the surrounding VRMs and stuff like that. So, but anyways, I think that's a good thing. Fan speed's really low. It's not so loud that's driving me nuts, like there's a bee in your ear. So I think this was a win-win. So kind of scary, but I think if people do their research ahead of time and make sure they know what they have to do to disassemble and reassemble, safety precautions, I disconnected the battery just to make sure that when I was wiping alcohol in there, or, something that may have been partially energized while it's in the power off mode didn't cause it to short out. So always better to be safe than sorry. But for me, this is great because now I can run it in the normal modes, turbo, performance, or silent, and I think it's gonna do well. Well, thank you for watching, and that's a little bit different episode on Jim's Encontro das Aguas. Ciao.